Hello, it's Sonia here with the Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be doing a knitted project and we're going to be doing some cabling. So for this project I am using but these are size 8 needles. They're just some straight needles here. You could certainly use circular ones if you wanted to. And we're going to be cabling, so I'm just using a double pointed needle to do my cables. I have a cable needle somewhere, I'm not sure where it is, but I actually kind of prefer using double points anyway to do cabling. And I do have some videos just going over cabling with knitting. If you want to check those out, I can certainly link those for you. And this project is going to be an ear warmer. I'm actually making this project for my ladies. I am doing a knit crochet group at my church, and we just had a cable class, and I wanted to come up with a project for them that would help them to get some practice and not be too difficult. And I'm also using this number 4 yarn. It does have some color changes, which I always say don't use yarn with color changes with cabling because the cables tend to get lost. But these, I'm pretty sure they're very long color changes. So I actually think it's going to be pretty, and the cables will show up just fine, I hope. So why don't we get started? So as you can see, I've already cast it on. So I casted on 33 stitches. Now you could also use different size needles if you don't have size 8s, or you could use thinner yarn if you're using thinner yarn. Just adjust your needle size, and then of course that would result in a thinner ear warmer or headband, or you could use chunkier yarn, and again it would result in a thicker ear warmer, but that'll be okay, you know, it's fine. And we're gonna make this as long as we need to fit around the head comfortably. Okay, so let's get started. So we have 33 stitches casted on, so let's begin row 1, and it will be a 6-row repeat. So we're going to knit 4 stitches. As you can see, I just quickly switched off to my soft background that I tend to use on light colored yarn, and also my needles were clanking on my desk, and I just found that to be very distracting. And so I thought this will help muffle that. So I've already knitted 4 stitches, so now we need to purl 2 stitches. And this is an odd row, so all of our odd rows will be the right side. So now we are going to knit 2 stitches. So we've knitted 4, purled 2, now we're knitting 2 again. Okay, so now we are going to purl 3 stitches. So we've purled 3, so now we're going to knit 4. So we've knitted 4. And as I always say, I'm much more skilled at crocheting, but I can knit okay. So be kind. I'm going to purl 3 again. So we've purled 3, now we need to knit 2, we're going to purl 2, and then we should have 4 stitches left, so we're going to knit that last 4. And row 1 is complete. Okay, so now we're ready for row 2. So what we're going to do is we're always going to knit the first 4 stitches and the last 4 stitches. So those are going to be our border stitches, and then all of the stitches in between we're going to knit every stitch or purl every stitch. So our first 4 stitches will be the knit stitch, and we're going to be creating a garter stitch border. So 1, okay, so I've knit those stitches. So our next 2 stitches are knit stitches. So we're going to knit in those. So we're going to do 2 knit stitches, and then our next 2 stitches should be purl stitches. So there we go. See the little tiny purls? Those will be the purls. So we're going to knit 2 purls. So you're just going to continue across, knitting in every knit stitch, purling in every purl stitch until you get to your last 4 stitches, and then you will knit those stitches to create your garter stitch border. So I'm going to go off camera completing this row, and I will meet you back. So we're almost to the end of row 2 here, the wrong side row. So we are going to work 4 knit stitches at the end. So in the middle, you're working in every knit stitch and every purl stitch, but on the ends, you're going to work 4 knit stitches, and this is going to be garter stitch. So garter stitches, you just knit every row. Okay, so there is our row 2. So now we're going to do row 3, and that is going to be the start of cabling here. So as I said, this is a 6-row repeat. So let's get started for row 3. Row 3 is a right side. So our first 4 stitches will be knit. So we're going to knit 4. Okay, so now we're going to purl 2 stitches, and you can see those purls. So we're just going to be purling in every purl stitch for our 3rd row here. So we're working 2 purl stitches. Now we're just going to do a little baby cable here. So I'm going to take my cable needle, I'm going to slide off 1 stitch, and I'm going to put it in the back. So cable knit back, as I like to call it, and I'm going to knit off the next stitch. And now I need to knit the one on my cable needle. So I'm going to push this guy up, but these stitches on my other working needle, I like to push them down so they don't slide off, because that can happen sometimes. So we're just going to knit off the one on the cable needle. Okay, we're just going to set that aside because we will be picking it up again. So now I'm going to slide those guys back, and now we are going to purl 3 stitches. Okay, now we're back to our cable section. So when we do our cables, we're doing them with knitted stitches. So we're going to put our yarn in knit position, as I like to call it. I'm going to grab my double pointed needle, or grab your cable needle if you have one. We're going to pull off 2 stitches. So 1, 2, and slide them on to our cable needle, and we're going to put them in the back. So cable knit back. I'm going to slide these guys down a little bit there. Bring that forward. Now we'll have to slide them back up. Oops, sliding the wrong thing. Because we're going to knit 2 of these guys off on our original knitted needle, or knitting needle here. Knitted needle, that doesn't make any sense. So we're knitting 2. Now I'm going to slide these guys down so they don't slide off. Now we're going to knit off the ones on our cable needle. Okay, we'll set this aside. Okay, so let's keep going. So now we're going to purl 3 stitches. So I need to slide them back up. And we're going to purl the next 3 stitches. And you can see those purls there. Those little bumps, those are your purls. And we're going to purl 3 stitches. Okay, so I'm going to get my yarn in knit position, and we're going to get our cable needle again. We're going to pull off 2 stitches. And now we're going to do cable knit front. So that means our stitches on our cable needle are just going to hang out in the front. And we're going to knit the next 2 stitches. I'm going to slide these guys down so they don't fall off, and we're going to knit these off of the cable needle. So sliding them down and just knitting those guys off. And this row, it's going to look messy. Your cable stitches, they're going to look kind of like garbage. That's always how it is when you're cabling. In the beginning it's like, oh, what is that? But as you keep going in the pattern, then the beautiful cables start to pop out and you're like, oh, that actually looks nice. Okay, so now we are going to cable 3 stitches, I'm sorry, we're going to purl 3 stitches. And now we're going to do a little baby cable. So getting that yarn in knit position, picking up the needle, sliding off 1 stitch. And we're going to have that in the front. So the first half we're cabling in the back. We're going to knit 1 stitch. The second half we're going to do cable knit front. And now we're going to knit that 1, let me just slide these down, here we go, off that cable needle here. And now we're going to finish off the rest of the row. We're going to purl 2 stitches. And now we are going to knit the last 4 because those are our border stitches in the garter stitch there. So we're just knitting the last 4. So there is row 3. So row 4, 5, and 6, you're going to work even. So row 5, I'm sorry, row 4, we're going to knit the first 4 stitches, knit the last 4 stitches, and then in between, you're going to purl in every stitch and knit in every stitch. So every knit stitch, so you can clearly see the knit stitches here, you're going to want to knit in those. And then here is some purl stitches, you're going to want to purl in them. So then row 5 will be a right side row, and you're going to knit the first 4 stitches, and then again you're going to purl in every purl stitch, knit in every knit stitch until you get to your last 4 stitches, and you'll knit in those. And then you're going to do the same thing for row 6. So what you want to do is you're going to repeat rows 1 through 6 for however long you need your ear warmer. So when it can fit comfortably around the head, then you will join the ends. So I'm going to keep going here, repeating rows 1 through 6, and then when next time you see me, this will look a lot better. You'll see the pretty cables, and we'll get ready to make this an ear warmer. So I will meet you back. Okay, so here is my almost finished ear warmer here. So I already bound off here. I still need to cut my yarn, and please excuse my finger, I cut myself since last time you saw me. I already bound off my stitches, and what you want to do after you have worked your ear warmer till it's long enough, so that mine is about 22 inches long. You might need to make less rows or more rows. It just depends on, you know, how long you need it, but this fits pretty good around my head. And now we're going to turn it into an ear warmer. So what you need to do is cut your yarn, and I'm going to leave probably about 12 inches for sewing. So let me just cut that guy. And we are ready to go. And I think this looks pretty nice with this yarn. I don't normally recommend a busy yarn like this with cabling, but because the color changes are a little bit longer, I think it's okay. And it is very pretty yarn, actually. This was in, somebody had donated some yarn to my knit crochet group, and it just had this one ball, and I was like, that's interesting, I'll just use it and see what happens. I didn't realize it had all these pretty color changes through here, but so it was a happy surprise. I have no idea what brand of yarn this is. It's probably, it actually goes in between like a worsted and a DK weight. It's one of those that kind of gets thick and thin as you are working on it. So it started out as worsted, and then it would go down to like DK weight, and then it'd go back to worsted. So very interesting yarn. I think it's trying to mimic like a natural fiber, but it's totally not. All right, so what we want to do is we're going to fold the ends so that your right sides are touching. So this is the wrong side of our ear warmer. And we're going to take our ends and we're going to fold them. Like that. So I folded the one end, so this is the end with my tail here. I have my other end, and I'm going to fold the same thing like that. And then we're going to overlap these ends. Now, you don't have to do it like this. I just think it's pretty, like, I like this effect. But if you just want to sew it like that, and then this obviously would be in the back, you can do that. But this way, it'll give like a pretty twisted look, and I really like that style. I think it's pretty. But again, you don't have to do that. So definitely a customizable pattern here. All right, so let's match up these ends. Okay, so now we're going to overlap. So you're going to just open that up and overlap those guys. Like so. So now we have 4 thicknesses. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to thread this here with my yarn needle. So you'll need a yarn needle. So if you're not sure what a yarn needle is, here we go. It's just a sewing needle, but a little bit bigger so you can thread yarn. Now if you don't have a yarn needle and you know how to crochet, you could actually just crochet that closed. I do that on my crochet projects. Okay, so now we're going to sew through all of these guys. So I'm going to start off at the end here. And I don't know what this stitch is called. I know there's mattress stitch, but we're not doing that. We're just, to me, it's just a regular whatever sewing stitch. I don't like to sew very much. I can do it, but it's not my favorite. All right, so when you make sure you have all 4 thicknesses, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and sometimes like the corner, so here you can see on here, like it kind of wants to sink in. So when you get close to the end, you just want to pull that out. So when I was attaching it here, I made sure that corner got threaded because you don't want to miss that. And then I'm just going to pull that, and then I'm going to go back, insert my needle, and just sew all through those ends. So again, you want to make sure you get all 4 of them. And I'm just kind of cinching that a little bit tightly. And there's, so that's my first layer, second, third, and fourth layer. So you're just going to sew that all the way across. So I'm going to finish this up off camera because it's kind of awkward doing it. I'm literally looking through the lens, so it'll be easier for me to do it really up close and personal. So I'm going to finish sewing that up, and I will meet you back. So you can see I finished sewing everything across. So then what you'll do is when you turn it right side out, you have the pretty little twist there. Now again, if you don't want to have the twist, then you can just sew it straight across. But I think this turned out really cute. Of course, you'll need to weave in your ends. If it needs to be blocked gently, then do that. But then you're all set to go. So I might donate this, I might keep it, I don't know. I think it's pretty cute, and I really was pleasantly surprised with this yarn. I didn't know it was this pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.